Welcome back to Up Front and our look at Wisconsin's economy and where it's at as we begin 2016. Our panelists today are Austin Ramirez of Waukesha-based Husco International, Mary Ellen Stanek of Robert W. Baird and Company in Milwaukee, and Aaron Olver of the University Research Park in Madison. Mary Ellen Stanek, there's a lot of talk about Wisconsin's aging workforce, and we're going to need new folks in this state to take on some of these jobs of tomorrow. How do we retain and attract younger folks? How do we make sure that Wisconsin is a place that's on their radar?
Well, I think a number of things. Certainly at the college and university level, you attract your own to potentially stay here, but also to make it a dynamic environment, both from a job creation vantage point, but also making our particular urban areas attractive and dynamic areas that are going to attract 25 to 35-year-olds. And that's the key. That's one of the reasons why it's so exciting to see what's going on in Milwaukee with all the economic development that's going on in terms of new major projects. We believe will attract and be quite attractive for young talent to come and work here. The private sector's got to create the jobs, and that's the piece that we've got to continue, each of us, developing and growing resilient businesses that are magnets for talent.
Well, what do you think is the key to attracting and retaining these young folks?
One of the things that drives me nuts is our great sense of Midwestern sensibility in Milwaukee and around this state.
We're humble people.
Yeah, a little bit too humble. I mean, we've got so many terrific things happening, specifically in Milwaukee. You look at our sports teams and the construction and the restaurants and the music and the arts that we have in Milwaukee, the beautiful lakefront. We're a little bit too humble about the assets our city have, and I think we need to talk about that a little bit more and not be afraid to really recognize what a great city Milwaukee is. And I think just having that little bit of swagger in our step helps with that younger generation and attracting people to the city.
What's also important is to give that young talent access and voice and to be involved in the community. And I like to say Milwaukee's a great community from that vantage point, that yes, they're the traditional organizations and structures and leadership, but come on in and work side by established CEOs and C-suite talent, because there is an openness and a willingness to have young talent at the table, and I think that's how you engage them. I think that's how they end up building careers and building lives here.
Madison area has seen a lot of growth, both population, job growth. What's been the key? And obviously you're not having some of these issues of attracting and retaining talent.
So the Madison area bucks the state trend a little bit. We've actually added to the workforce quite significantly in the 25 to 40 range. And a lot of that is being driven by the technology ecosystem that surrounds the university, including Epic Systems,
which has literally has thousands and thousands of people there.
It took 30 years to go from about 2 people to 5,000 people, but in the last 5 years they've almost doubled. So that's having a huge impact. But like Austin said, I think we don't brag enough about the great things. We're blessed with one of the finest universities in the country. The University of Wisconsin-Madison does more research than Harvard, than MIT, than Stanford. And when you have that level of intellectual engagement, there's a huge spillover effect, not only in Madison, but all over the state. So we did a survey to try to find out where alumni were starting companies, and we found UW-Madison alumni just in a small sample that had started companies in 51 of 72 of Wisconsin's counties. So it ripples out all over the place.
Let's talk a little bit about starting companies, though, because we hear so much discussion about that we're trailing many parts of the country in terms of entrepreneurship. Why is that? Why are we, is it a matter of sort of our culture, that we're conservative by nature? What's going on there? How do we change it? Anybody?
I mean, I think if you dug into those numbers, you'd probably find that in the urban areas in Milwaukee and Madison, there's far greater levels of entrepreneurship. But we are an older population, and we're a slow-growing population. And so we really need to attract some of these young workers and encourage them to start companies, to support them when we're starting companies. It's a great economic development strategy because it takes relatively few resources to really make a big trajectory shift in a young entrepreneurs track.
You're very active, Mary Ellen Stanek, in the business community here. You know there are a lot of groups working on this specific issue, this entrepreneurship issue. Do you think we're making progress on that?
I think we're making progress. It's a number of things: access to capital, access to the talent, the advisory talent, access to early pipeline customer and talent acquisition strategies. But also there's a cultural piece, and it's the willingness, and we're such a conservative culture, that risk-taking should be encouraged, because risk-taking is what the entrepreneurial spirit is all about. And it's okay. Many successful entrepreneurs will tell you that their first go at it wasn't necessarily the one that hit and was most successful. So getting people to that point of understanding that and supporting that and celebrating that, particularly around our great colleges and universities.
I'm interested in your perspective. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Then I'll go.
But the other thing I was going to say is that I think we should take a serious look at embracing immigration too. Immigrants are risk takers by nature. They're leaving their homes to try to make a better life somewhere new. And you see far greater rates of entrepreneurship. So if we're interested in attracting talent and growing the workforce and bringing new energy into Wisconsin, and new entrepreneurial energy, we should take a serious look at our immigration policies nationally, but also how we welcome immigrants here.
I couldn't agree with that more. I also think focusing only on entrepreneurship misses a little bit of the picture.
Okay.
And one of the efforts that I think is really neat is one called Scale Up by the Greater Milwaukee Committee.
So these are
That's-
young companies that are.
Yeah, it's looking at taking small and medium companies and growing them. And I think that's where the majority of job growth actually comes from in our economy. And so just focusing on startups misses the picture. I think we really need to also focus on how do we leverage some of the underutilized assets in our community and really scale those up and make an impact.
One more quick question, though, on the startup issue. You've spent some time out west. I think you went to school out west.
I did.
I've got family out west in the Silicon Valley area. And it really is almost a badge of honor to start a business and fail and then start another business and succeed. Right here in this community, I would say that's not so much the case. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that's a culture that takes some time to change, and it takes some success stories. And the more of those success stories we have of people maybe that tried and failed and tried again and succeeded, I think the more that culture will start to build.
The other piece that's important, and Aaron touched on it when he talked about immigration, but to really encourage this community from an inclusion and diversity vantage point, and make sure we continue to open that wide up, because collectively we will all be better off and more welcoming to include more people of color, more women at the table, and give them access into decision-making positions. And that will impact and continue to have a ripple effect.
Let me take another break. When we come back, our conversation about the business outlook for the year ahead continues. What's the role for state government?